Hello, I'm here to make a big announcement, huge announcement. I am willing to fund Zia Marshal Camus to go on a crusade to Iraq, the northern parts of Iraq bordering Syria and Iran and Turkey. There are many descendants of Assyrians in those areas, in northern parts. So I think because we misunderstand Zia a lot, he has a passion to work with the word of Ashur. And what he wants to do is to make sure that the Middle East becomes peaceful. And even though the Assyrians in the Middle East only make up about 1% of the population, that's still a large number in the hundreds of thousands. So I can see Zia crossing the sands with a few water jugs, I imagine, in June. It's going to be quite warm. And preaching to the masses about him being the king of freedom and the ability to change and direct people and lead them like a shepherd. And he probably will need a few pair of sandals because it gets quite warm on the roads. But I think everyone should get behind me in supporting him, but he needs to take up the challenge, because what it will be is a bit of a technicality. There'll be a legal document to sign that if he doesn't return, something might happen. Hope not, but he may just find himself the leader of Iraq, or the leader of a separatist state of Assyria within Iraq. You never know. So he may not want to come back. But the paper he'll have to sign will be for his vehicle, that if he doesn't come back, I end up with the full possession of it. That's only fair. I'm putting up the cost for him to be the new Messiah in the Middle East. And really, that will solve all his problems, because living a life of misery in a tin can in car parks is not really the option, when he is basically the son of Ashur and can offer salvation for all his fellow men and women, well, mainly the men, in Iraq, in northern parts of Assyria, that the people do dwell there. So I think this is a great idea. It'll take him out of the poverty he lives in now and raise him to the status of leader of the Assyrians in the Middle East. What do you think? Good idea? I think so. Now, allowing Zia probably a couple of months to get his passport organised. I imagine it's probably June by the time he'll be able to start on his crusade. I just had a quick look at the weather in June in Baghdad, so it may be different in different parts of Iraq, but it does say that the average temperature in Baghdad in June, well, it says very hot, but for an Australian I don't see that as the case, from 32 degrees Celsius to about 90 degrees, and that's overnight. And in the morning it can be a bit hot, around the 41 Celsius, or in the old language about 105.8. But if he takes plenty of those large water bottles, I'm sure he's going to be fine. Okay, I've just done a bit of a check. $1,079 to fly from, Chicago to Baghdad. Well, I'm saying roughly in May or April, something like that. That could be a good time to fly. But that's pretty cheap, and I will be funding that one-way trip to Baghdad. I promise. I'm a man of my word. So there you go. That's pretty cheap, really, when you think about it. It's only a 15-hour flight. Yeah. Fly him into Iraq, probably Baghdad International would be the best. And then, of course, he could go to, an old favourite town of Saddam's, which was Kirkuk. Yeah, that could be a good place to do the preaching, and that fellow Assyrians follow, the son of Ashur. Yeah, maybe a few days in Mosul. Of course, the border between Iraq and Syria is a great area. I mean, northern Iraq is where most Assyrian still live. There are about 2 to 4 million Assyrians around the world, but I think we should send Zia on his passion trip to the Middle East, the new Messiah, for the son of Ashur. I think landing at Baghdad is the option. Of course, I will be paying for all accommodation. Taxis are pretty cheap over there. He can pay for that. But accommodation in Baghdad, Kirkuk, Mosul, that great little spot, Mosul, and northern parts of the border between Syria and Iraq. I think you should muster behind me, guys, because this is a great cause. Maybe we just misunderstand the son of Ashur.